crumbs are all I get, then that is what I will eat. Hello, welcome back to Starless Roots. My name is Leah, and I'm so happy you're here. This is episode 3 of my Unwrapping My TBR video series I've been doing on this channel. By episode 3, I think everyone knows why we're here. Let's just pick a book and escape this opening frame of me in my pajamas. This is a very vulnerable moment for me. I just want a book before bed. Okay, so let's not enter a judgmental zone and let's just pick a book. Okay, so as you saw, winner is number 23, and if I'm not wrong, this is the last book I wrapped up, so that's my most recently acquired book. I'm just gonna go get it in my room. I'll be just right back. Okay, so I was wrong. It's not the one I most recently acquired, but is one that I wrapped up semi-recently. I think I know what this one is because, like I said, it's one I wrapped up semi-recently after I finished another book in last episode. So I'm pretty sure I know what this is. It's a hardback. Let's just open it. So this is Our Violent Ends by Chloe Gong. In last episodes, I read These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. So it's honestly a pretty good thing that I picked up this book so quickly after the first one because I still have the story from the first one fresh in my mind. And this ends a duology. So that means I'm all caught up in that series after that. Like, there are other books in this world by this author, but for this specific duology, this wraps it up, so that's pretty good. So if you haven't seen my last episode, These Violent Delights is a Romeo and Juliet historical kind of fantasy retelling set in 1920s Shanghai, and we follow two rival gangs kind of trying to gain territory in like this very politically challenged city at the moment. And there's also this outbreak virus monster on the loose. We're not so sure if it's sentient or not, but it's definitely a lot of people are dying from it. So that's basically the first book. And this is the following. This is the following. That's how the series work. It's almost 500 pages, so that's quite a chunky book, but I remember the first one reading quite fast, and it's also like YA writing, so it's quite accessible and fast to read. I hope we get some more gay moments because in the first book, I was having some gay inklings, and I hope this was not Chloe Gong just baiting us, and I hope we actually see some gay people on page in this book. Gay people being gay. I really hope so. That's my hopes and wishes for this book as of right now. But I'm just gonna go read and come back once I'm more presentable and once I've read more. Okay, I'll see you soon. The next day, and I got to page 100, so I wanted to update a bit on my initial thoughts on this book. I think the beginning of this book was really well done. Like, the first couple of chapters were kind of previously on recapping the first one, just making sure everyone is caught up. And I always love when books do that because one thing about me, I will be forgetting. And then I really, really enjoyed, especially chapter 3. It was so cinematic. The narration was really fun. Like, I can really feel this book playing out like a movie in my brain, and that doesn't usually happen in my reading. I'm less of a visual, like, it's harder for me to visualize books in my head. But with this one and this series and this author's writing style in particular, it's super easy for me to like imagine the scenes playing out, especially that chapter 3 where there were like two similar events happening at the same time, and it would switch back and forth and like, kind of have that mirror effect. I could just see that in a movie so well. And it was fun. I like the beginning of this. I think it's a fun setup for the book. So there's tension, there's a lot of yearning, and the tension's good. Listen, hey, it's good. Like the main couple obviously is heterosexual, which can't do nothing about that. But I will say for a straight couple, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I enjoy the tension. It thumbs up from a lesbian. So yeah, I'm enjoying that. I hope there's more dramatics happening because I do enjoy some dramatic. And I hope there's more gay people. So far, we've had only a couple of glimpses, a couple of scenes featuring my favorite characters, aka Kathleen, Benedict, and Marshall. But the scenes that we've had have been my favorite scenes. I wish this was a book about Marshall and Benedict instead of a book about Juliet and Roma, but beggars cannot be choosers. I will eat up whatever crumbs that I can get. So if crumbs are all I get, then that is what I will eat. Other than that, it's a fun setup. I hope that the pacing remains as it has been, because it's a fun time to read. I like the pacing. I think it's quite tight, goes fast, keeps me entertained. Yeah, I hope it remains the same. Hello, it is Christmas Eve as I'm filming this. So obviously this video will be posted after Christmas Eve, but happy belated Christmas to everyone who celebrates, or just happy holidays in general. Um, so I'm here to update on Our Violent Ends. I just finished this like 2 seconds ago, and this was a very good wrapping up to the duology. I really enjoyed the second book. It was definitely darker than the first one. And I think calling the series a fantasy series is honestly kind of inaccurate because it's mostly a historical fiction retelling of Romeo and Juliet more than anything. The fantasy element could be taken out of the story and the story would still remain the same at its core. Honestly, the only kind of fantastical element in the story is like the monster, and that could, like, it's basically a metaphor for the whole political unrest happening in the city and how that breeds hatred and violence. So the whole like fantastical elements of the story could totally be taken out of it and it would still like remain the same story. That being said, the historical elements of the story were really well done. I didn't know much about his like Shanghai's history. Like I vaguely know of just in general China's history in the 20th century. So just having more precise events like these events happening in this book actually happened in real life, and that makes this story all the more heartbreaking. Yeah, so I think it was a well, it wasn't a nice conclusion because it was like horrible and sad, but also you can kind of know that since it's a Romeo and Juliet retelling. It's pretty obvious what the end is going to be, right? Because it's not like it's a spoiler to say like, oh, I'm pretty sure everyone knows what happens at the end of Romeo and Juliet. So you know it's going to be like a very tragic end, and this book has a tragic end. Also, the title is Our Violent End. So if you were not expecting a tragic end with that title and that like retelling aspect to it, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, I think it did it well. The only thing is that since this is a historical fiction and like is realistic in its history, like the only things that are different are the characters. The characters are made up. Canonically, Shakespeare exists in this world, and like how can Shakespeare exist in this world and nobody ever made a reference to like, hey, doesn't this look familiar to any of you guys? Like, of course, like Shakespeare is really Western, but like, come on now, nobody thought to be like, okay, we have somebody named Roma, we have somebody named Juliet. They are star-crossed lovers in opposite gangs. Nobody thought to make like a cheeky little like hello, like because canonically Shakespeare was a thing, right? Anyways, that just baffled me a bit because like it's not as if this was a alternate universe where Shakespeare didn't exist. This is our real world, just with different characters that didn't exist. Anyways, yeah, I had fun with this series. Well, fun. Maybe fun is not the right word because really this, especially this last couple of, maybe the last 200 pages in this book were really sad, really devastating. It's basically a civil war, and it's also like I said, all the more devastating since we know these things actually happened and people actually died, and that's like, yeah, okay, that's rough. But overall, I think the series was enjoyable. I know that Chloe Gong wrote other books in this universe. I think she wrote, what is it called? She wrote like Fair Lady Fortune, something like that. She wrote another duology in this universe. And right now, I'm not like chomping at the bits to pick up this other duology, but if I ever in the future fall upon some other works by Chloe Gong, I would be totally open to read it because I enjoyed her writing. And yeah, just if you like historical fiction, YA historical fiction, I would recommend this to you. Even if you don't like fantasy, the fantasy in this is like barely there. So I would still recommend. And I'm now going to pick my next book to unwrap. I might have some time over the next few days because it's Christmas time, so I have like a lot of time off to read. So we'll see. Hopefully, I get like a cozy book that fits with Christmas. Let's spin. Okay, let's just see. Okay, number one. I don't remember what was the first book I wrapped. So let's go. Let's go check. Actually, come with me. Okay. Lighting is absolutely terrible. But this is just for a second. Wait, what if I. Is that better? Who knows? Okay. Number one, what is it? And it's quite a big one. I don't remember what this is. And it feels big and it also doesn't feel like a hardback. Hey, I don't remember what this is, so let's just open it right away. Okay, I'm excited about this. Oh my god, I forgot. I forgot I wrapped this up. Okay, this is fun. This is exciting. This is The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. I really need to check how you pronounce this last name because for some reason it doesn't click in my brain. How do you say that? I'm gonna check. I'm gonna Google it later. But for now, I'm gonna talk about this book. Okay, this is the first book in a high fantasy series, and this book was so hyped this year in like the high fantasy sphere on BookTube and everything. So many people loved this book, gave this book 5 stars. I believe this has like academic setting, and I think it also has like a murder mystery aspect to it. I'm just excited about this in general because a lot of people who love the same books that I do love this book. So um, yeah, this is quite quite a big book. It's 643 pages, so it's a really big book, and it's the first book in a series. So I'm expecting a lot from this. This is honestly perfect. Like high fantasy murder mystery. That's what I need at Christmas time. Okay, I'm really excited about this book, and I'm excited to start reading. I'll let you know what I think of this, my initial impressions and everything, once I have them. Okay, I'll see you later, probably after Christmas. Okay, bye. Hello, I am back with many different updates for many different things. Christmas has happened, so many things have happened, and I have a reading update as well for you guys. But first, I want to show you, let's start with the crochet, okay? I've been crocheting this cute little bag. It's really small. It's like purse sized, and all that it's missing is the straps. And I'm really struggling with the straps, but um hopefully I can get it done soon. But it's this cute little pink color. I really like it. It's like the perfect size for it to fit my e-reader in. So that's just perfect in general. I'm hoping to finish it this week, but like I said, I'm really struggling with the straps, so we'll see. I was having so much trouble with the straps earlier that I kind of gave up, but I'm gonna try again and we'll see. I'll leave the video tutorial and the pattern for this bag in the description because this is not my pattern, but it's a really cute bag, so really fun. What else? I'm gonna talk about the book. Okay, let's discuss the book because I've read quite a big chunk of it and I haven't said a single word of it yet. I'm on page 199. We can just say I'm on page 200 of the Raven Scholar, and that is like a quarter of the way through, and I'm having so much fun. This is so fun. This book, so fun. So fun. Okay, I don't know. I was kind of scared because I haven't read like a high fantasy in a while. Actually, I did start reading the book that wouldn't burn, and that really didn't go well for me. So I've been like kind of, oh my god, maybe high fantasy too complicated for this little brain of mine. Turns out it's not, and it's so fun, and I missed it so much. This is so much fun. Okay, so the Raven Scholar. Let me try to talk about it and discuss what the book is about. Can it say like that? Oh, that's kind of cute. Okay, so Raven Scholar. I find the first couple of, like the first part of this book really interesting because we start from the point of view of someone who's not our main character. We start from the point of view of a young girl. She just turned 16 and her dad was kind of he was a traitor to the emperor. He tried to kill the emperor. So basically, her whole family is kind of doomed. And they kind of live in the margins of society. But now she just turned 16, and that is reaching adulthood in this world. So she now has to answer for herself as a fully grown person. She's not a child anymore. And she is brought before the emperor. And it's basically revealed that she knew as a child of her dad's plans to overthrow the empire. But obviously, she was a child, but still, like, she knew. And she didn't say anything. So she's kind of a traitor as well. And so things happen. Turns out consequence of that is exile for this young woman. She's barely 16 and she gets exiled, and that's like the worst punishment one could get. And then we switch point of view to another young woman. She is a scholar and she is tasked to write the order of exile for this other young woman. So this young woman who is tasked to write the order of exile is our main character. She is called Nima, and she's really fun. But yeah, so first introduction to Nima is through her. She has to write this order of exile for this young woman, and she doesn't really want to do it because that's like an awful thing to do, even though she's not really the one who ordered exile for the other woman. She's still like it's not a fun thing to do, and it's also like immense guilt afterwards. But she also knows that if she does this, it's gonna like probably help her move her career forward as a scholar in like the court, and she really wants to like be able to be a scholar and live as a scholar. So she's like, okay, I'm gonna do this, but it's like a heavy decision for her. And then time shift 8 years later, and we still follow our main character Nima. She is now like, because she wrote this order of exile, she now has like a bigger responsibility in the court. She is the high scholar for the emperor, and she has like the privileges and the responsibilities that comes with that. She is a very interesting character. She is so complex. And I really love how Nima is written. She is so likable, and yet she has so many unlikable traits about her. She just feels so human because she's a bit of a know-it-all, a bit of a actually this is not how it's called. It's called that. And she's a bit annoying in that way, but she also can be like, I don't know, she can be so endearing. And I really like following the story through her eyes because of how human she feels and how I can relate to her as well in many ways. She feels like an outcast, and she always feels like she has to prove herself so much more than the people around her just because she doesn't come from a noble family. She comes from a like commoner family, and she had to work her way up, and she struggles a lot with that. So that's our main character, Nima. And I like that this is how the book starts. I like that we get the backstory of like who this young woman was that Nima basically killed. Indirectly, but she still wrote the order of exile, and that's pretty much what it did. It did kill that young woman, and that also sets up the world really well. Like, you immediately get thrown into this world and you understand the politics of everything really well. And I think as I'm explaining this, I'm making it sound way more complex than it is. But the way that this book is written, it's literally so simple. Like, I can imagine everything so well. The author did an amazing job with this. So this book has a lot of tropes that I love, 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 love. It's not that original in its tropes because a lot of it is like, okay, we've seen this before, but I'm still having a lot of fun with it. For example, there is this kind of different houses with different animals. So once people reach their 16 years old, once they reach adulthood, they choose which animal to pledge allegiance to. These animals, these 8 animals, are basically their gods, and what animal you pledge your allegiance to basically gives you a sense of how you should live your life and everything. So there's the fox, there's the raven, there's the monkey, there's the ox, you know, a bunch of things. So our main character, Nima, she's a scholar and she is a raven. So ravens are basically like knowledge, studies, those kind of things. Like, and in this world, like there's an emperor, but the way they choose the next emperor is not like the next emperor cannot be the children of the current emperor. An emperor can only be on the throne for 24 years maximum, and after that, they have this whole like trial thing where one contestant from each of the houses from each animal house. Basically the best of the house. They all 8 of them compete against one another in trials, and the winner basically gets to take the throne as the emperor. So we have this fun like trial trope going on. We have the different houses trope going on, which is also fun. And then on top of that, there's this like murder mystery that's thrown into the mix because as as high scholar, Nima basically has to organize a lot of these trials for the emperor. She is like kind of helping out with everything and planning everything. And as she does her duties of a high scholar, one of the contestants who is in line for the throne gets killed. And Nima is like, oh shit, because that contestant that gets killed is someone that Nima really didn't like, and that animosity was really public. Like, so Nima is like, I have to find who killed this person because if I don't find it, it's going to get blamed on me. Even though there's no proof, people are going to think it's me and I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to lose every opportunity basically in life. So I really need to find who did this. So she, as the like high scholar for the emperor, she begs him like, please put me in charge of the like solving of this crime. I want to find who did this more than anyone else because I really don't want this to get pinned on me. So fun things happening all around. Like this plot is so intricate and it's so entertaining because there's the trials and there's the like next in line for the throne, and there's also this murder mystery going on, and also backdrop of like this history of like in the past there was this overthrowing of the government that didn't happen but almost did, and it's so fun. It's so good. And what I just said was I feel like I said a lot of information, but if you feel like I spoiled you, I really didn't. I remained really vague about everything. So I still like didn't spoil this book. I really encourage you to go check it out if any of that sounds good to you. And if it sounds a bit too complex, I really recommend that you try it out for yourself because the way that this author explains everything, it doesn't feel like too much. Like technically, yes, there's a lot of history, a lot of politics, a lot of characters and everything like thrown at you. But in actuality, like when you're reading, it doesn't feel like too much. It feels like everything is connecting, everything is making sense. It's really well done. So yeah, round of applause for this book. I'm only a quarter of the way through this, but so far it's feeling like a new favorite. So I cannot wait to see what happens next in this book. So I'll update you when I have more to say on that book. But before I leave you, I want to do a little Christmas book haul, the books I got for Christmas, because I did get a couple of books and I want to show them off. I'm really excited about all of them. So yeah, mini book haul interlude. So the first book was from my sister and it's this really short collection of letters. It's Letters to a Young Poet by Rainer Maria Rilke. So this is translated by Stephen Mitchell. I believe Rilke is a German. Is he German or does he just speak German? He's a German-speaking poet. Yeah, so the original letters were written in German. Briefe an einen jungen Dichter. These are basically letters between Rilke and another young poet, another young man named Franz Krapus. I believe this book is like supposed to be like really insightful. And these letters are supposed to be like just really good. Like they're published for a reason, these letters. And I've heard just really good things about these letters in general. So yeah, I asked for this and I'm really glad I got it because it's just a short book that I think I'm going to enjoy a lot. Then the next 3 books that I got were from my girlfriend. I asked for Spy Family Volume 14 because that's where I'm at in the reading of the series. So I'm really excited about this. I own Volume 1 through 11, and then 12 and 13 I read like a ebook version of it, but I don't have access to the ebook version of it anymore on my library interface. So I really want to read the next volume, and I had no other way than to purchase the physical copy. So I asked for it for Christmas and I got it, and it's really fun. I think this series is reaching its conclusion soon. So yeah, I'm excited. I've really enjoyed the last couple of volumes. I feel like the story is really wrapping up, and I'm having a lot of fun with the series in general. Spy Family is just so cute. Then I got Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. This book I've wanted to read for years, literal years. This is one of the main books that get recommended in those lists of like wintry fantasy books, right? Like perfect fantasy books to read in winter. I think this is a Rumpelstiltskin retelling, but I don't remember exactly what the fuck the original tale of Rumpelstiltskin is. But I've heard like really, really good things about this novel. And I've read another book by Naomi Novik before. It was what do you call it? Oh, I forgot. It's the one it's the fantasy school one. I forget what it is. But I read another Naomi Novik before, and I really enjoyed her prose and everything. I didn't end up continuing that series, but I did enjoy that first book. I think this book is going to be for me. I think it will be. I'm going to be honest and say I'm not the biggest fan of this cover. There's just something about it that I'm like, The fake sticker of the New York Times is also not helping. Yeah, that's already better. Anyways, and then last but definitely not least, I have one of the most beautiful books I've ever owned, I think. This is The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow. This book is just so beautiful. It has these beautiful dark teal edges. Okay, it's way shorter than I believed it would be. I didn't know it was so short. This is just 300 pages. Oh, there's illustrations. There's illustrations in this. This is a gorgeous book. So I've heard amazing things about this. I believe this is about a lady knight who's stuck in time, something like that. I believe it's also like a very romantic story, and I've heard just like great things about this. Like people who talk about The Everlasting talk about it like it's a masterpiece. Like every word laying on the page for this book was meant to be written for this book. Like and I have really high hopes for this. Oh my god, the illustrations. Look how fucking gorgeous that is. Oh my god. Anyways, so I'm really happy about that. So these are all the books I got for Christmas. I think I got a pretty good haul right there. I'm quite lucky. So really grateful for all of these books. I'm going to read this hopefully a lot today. I have nothing to do today, so I am hoping to read some more of this. It reads pretty fast, so we'll see. Maybe I will get to the halfway mark. How many pages are there? 643. So I would have to read up to chapter 30 set to be like halfway through this book, which is really doable, I believe. So we'll see. Hello, I'm back. I didn't know if I would be able to film today because I was so ill this morning. I was going through it. Now I'm feeling much better, and I thought I would update on my reading before doing any more reading because if I just keep reading, then without having talked about the previous stuff, I might forget it because I have the memory of a goldfish. So I read a lot in the Raven Scholar. I am now on chapter 42. That's page 380. That's more than halfway through. And I'm still having the most fun with this. This book is so fun. And I'm just so, when you're reading something or like enjoying some sort of media that is so good that you just feel grateful to be able to enjoy that said media. Like, I'm just so grateful that this book exists. I don't know why I'm like so intense about this, but I'm just grateful about this book. It's great. Okay. So yeah. I will remain very vague about my opinions on everything that's happening. I will say this book is getting so like thrilling. We had a lot of revelations in the last couple of chapters. I was gooped and gagged. I was like I would physically have I would have to physically stop reading and just take a moment because these revelations were so good, so well done. Like um yes, and that always like means a lot to me in like a reading setup. Like if the book is good enough to elicit some form of like actual reaction in my body outside of the story, like that means it's a good book. Hello, I'm back. I think my clip yesterday got cut pretty abruptly because my mic died in the middle of me talking. But I think I was just gushing about this book anyway and not saying anything of value, really. So I kept reading yesterday and I got to the beginning of part 6, which is on page 465. So that means I have less than 200 pages left in this book. I'm going to try to finish this today. My e-reader is saying that if I keep up the same pace I've been reading at, I have about an hour and a half left of reading to do. So I think that's very doable. I do work this afternoon, but yeah, I think I'm going to be able to finish my book today, so that's really fun. And I don't remember what was said in yesterday's clip and when exactly in yesterday's clip the audio got cut out. But I want to say that I'm still enjoying this book so much. There are so many new elements to the story that are just so fun. And like a lot of them are like pretty popular tropes. But I still love it. They're popular for a reason. I love it. There's like the animal companion, like talking animal companion trope. There's also like a very small side plot of romance between two characters, and it's like it's like a second chance romance, and it's so good. It's really fun. And there's like a talking book. It's kind of niche trope, but I do love a talking book. Well, not actually talking, but like the book writes words and like is talking with you, answering you by writing words on the page. I like that. And we also get some more insight on the magic of this world, and it's really interesting. I'm trying to remain super vague, but also saying enough to get you guys intrigued and like hopefully lead you to pick this book up because it's really fun. So I'm just going to sit here and read as much as I can before my shift starts. And then, yeah, I'll catch up with you once I'm done with this book, which is hopefully going to be today. And we'll pick our next book for this little challenge. Okay, I'm kind of scared to see how this book is going to end because corruption. Yeah, that I feel like that's vague enough, but like corruption, yeah, not fun. It's there, and what can we do against a whole ass system? Yeah. Anyways, I hopefully am going to have fun with this little final part of the book. I'm gonna keep you guys updated. Hello, it's the next day, and I have a bunch of updates to give you guys. Yesterday, I was able to finish reading The Raven's Collar by Antonia Hodgson. Also, I don't know why I was struggling so much to say this author's name when I first picked this book. I remember being like, Hodgson. This is clearly Hodgson. I know the d sound. Like I'm not. Anyway, that was a random fail on my part, but yeah. Raven's Collar. Oh my god, I feel so happy. This book was so good, and that starts the year off so well. Like starting the year with a freaking great book. Like this is one of my new favorite books. I'm just so grateful. I think this is a sign that my reading this year is going to be fucking great because this was a fucking great book to end off 2025 with and start 2026 with. I think the main reason why I enjoyed it so much is the characters. I found all of the characters so intricate and the relationship they had between each other I found to be very complicated and full of depth, which I really enjoyed. The main character, Nima, I really adore her. I think she's such a breath of fresh air. She actually reminds me of my girlfriend in a couple of ways. She feels like she's a bit of a neurospicy kind of character. And when she knows something, she has to say it. She gets so excited and she just has to say it, tell it to someone. And I don't know. I think she's a really fun character to follow. She just feels so relatable, and I really like her as a main character. But the way that the narrative is spun, we also switch point of views a lot. We don't only follow Nima, we sometimes see into different characters. And I really enjoyed that as well. I think so many characters are so interesting. I love Kane. I really find I love Ruko. I think the antagonist is a really like interesting antagonist. I love Yasila. I just so many characters that are so complex in their background, in what they want as people and how they try to get what they want. I really enjoy that. Like not everything is so black and white, especially like in how we feel about people. Sometimes there's this gray area where you kind of disagree with someone or you kind of hate someone for what they did in the past, but you also like kind of get along with them, or like there's different dynamics to human interaction. It's not only love and hate, And I think this book did that really well. I also like how this book plays with narration and narration voice. Without saying too much, we have some different voices. Some, like I talked about, an animal companion thing going on. This animal companion talks, and that brings a really fun dynamic. And then on top of that, the plot was so fun to me, so interesting. I guess I've learned this year, well, in 2025, that I really love fantasy with a mystery element to it, because this, like, fantasy with a mystery element to it really reminded me of the series Shadow of the Leviathan, by Robert Jackson Bennett. So, like, the Tinted Cup and all of that, which I also loved reading. So I guess I really love those, like, there's a murder mystery in the midst of fantasy, bigger fantasy context. I really love that. I will say one point where it lacks, in my opinion, is in the description of the world and, like, in atmosphere. Like, the writing is really quick and snappy, and that brings, like, a fun reading experience. But that doesn't, it's hard for me to imagine this world where it's taking place. It's all very vague, and I can't really imagine the setting so well. So yeah, just letting y'all know that didn't make this book any less of a fantastic read for me. But I will say, like, that's a little, like, could have been better. But overall, this is, like, one of my new favorite reads. I'm so excited for the next book. This is going to be a trilogy, and the next book is going to be called The Fox in Winter. So that kind of hints at us following more a different character in the story, and that's really fun. But as of right now, there are no dates for publication of the second novel, so I guess we'll have to wait. So after that, last night, I spun the wheel and I opened up a new book, and I'm going to insert that right now. I was kind of over it, but I still wanted to pick the new book and kind of get an idea of what the following book I was going to have to read for this video was. So yeah, so I wanted to do that yesterday. And the book I picked is Daughter of the Forest by Juliet Marillier. This is the first book in a trilogy, I believe. Or is it? I'm not so sure. Anyways, this is a kind of an older fantasy. This was first published in 1999, so it's not a new release. But I recently I got this recommendation from another booktuber, Carrie Can Read. She was talking about this book in, I think, a TikTok, like a short. And she was just describing the writing in this, and I was like, oh, this sounds so freaking good. So I Googled Juliet Marillier, and this book sounded like interesting to me, so I picked it up. I will say my copy for some reason is, like, bent, and I don't know why it did that. I hope it'll fix itself. It's, like, really annoying to hold, but whatever. So this is, I believe, a Irish folktale, kind of legend inspired fantasy. Our main character, Sora, is the titular daughter of the forest. So when she was born, everyone expected her to be fulfilling a prophecy and to be the seventh son of a seventh son, but she turned out to be a girl. And so she's the only girl in her family. She has 6 older brothers, and her dad is like a lord, and he has a lot of power. and I believe there is some sort of war brewing in Ireland. And Sora grew up in the forest, like playing outside with her brothers. She loves to learn about nature and like everything that has to do with it. I only read the first 5 or 6 pages, and I can already tell this feels so rich in its description of nature. I love, love, love it. Sora has like this love for the outdoors, and it already feels magical with just the way that nature is described. And I really, really enjoy that. I don't know much more about this, to be honest. And this book is 550 pages. So that's another thick book. I will have read 3 books over 500 pages in this Unwrapping My TBR episode, which is a lot. It's a lot. But this will be the last book of the blog. So I will read some more of this and keep you guys updated. I also really like this cover. This book had many different like covers and editions, but I really like this one. It's truly beautiful. It's been a couple of days and I have a small update for you guys. I have been slowly but surely reading some of Daughter of the Forest by Juliet Marillier. I just finished chapter 4, so I'm on page 156. This is a very slow story. It's a story that takes its time. It's honestly beautifully paced. Like, I just want to, it's the kind of story you kind of have to settle in and just, it's the kind of story you can live in, right? The pacing is so slow and you can just be in the world for a while. And I wanted to update now because I'm actually listening to this book on audiobook, which is making it way easier for me to know how to pronounce the people's names. I'm horrible at Irish pronunciation. So yeah, I think the last time we spoke, I just talked randomly about Saoirse, Sorge. It's still hard for me to say her name. Sorge. Anyways, I talked about how the main character is like this wild, almost kind of woodland creature. She is a wild girl growing up in the forest with her 6 older brothers. But now, as I've finished the last chapter, I finally caught up on what this story is a retelling of. I know this is a retelling of something. I don't know the name of the tale exactly, but I know I've heard of this tale before. And it's basically the tale of her 6 older brothers are turned into swans, and she has to sew 6 shirts for them in silence. She cannot speak for the time that she has to sew these 6 shirts for them. And once she's sewn each shirt, she can then, like, they can turn back to human. So it's basically up to her to save her family, save her brothers, who are the people who raised her, the people who made her into who she is. Saoirse is such a lovely main character. She is still quite young, so she can be quite naive about the way that the world works. It's really like one of those classic fairy tales you get told as a child. There are, fairies involved, the fair folk, and there's this like ancient magic around the forest and just nature in general. And then you have this like tale of this young girl and her older brothers, and she has to save them in a very like classic you have to do this trial in order to save someone fairy tale type story beat. And I'm excited to see how Juliet Marillier is going to weave this story together. I know this is a trilogy, so I don't know if like this is only the first part of the tale, especially since it took so long to set up even that little part of it. I'm like this far into it, and her brothers were just now turned into swans. So we got like a whole lot of setup to get to know her brothers and who they are as people and why they have come to be in the situation where they get cursed. So it's a really beautiful story. I'm going to keep listening to it. And I recently started a new crochet project, which is making it like really fun for me to listen to it as I'm doing my crochet project. Like it's honestly an out of body experience to just be there in this world, listening to the beautiful magic and the nature of everything, and also be crocheting. I'm doing a tapestry, and I'm pretty new to crochet. Tapestries are not considered the easiest thing to crochet, but I wanted to try it out because I like it. So this is what I have so far. It's not looking like anything, but that's okay. That's just the bottom part. It's honestly a pretty big piece. Wait, let me show you. This is the pattern I'm following. So I've only done the couple first rows in the bottom right there. So yeah, I've been having lots and lots of fun doing my little crochet and listening to the beautiful tale being told to me through my ears. Hello and good evening. I'm here with an update. I have finished Daughter of the Forest by Juliet Marillier. I just finished like a couple of minutes ago listening to the audiobook while doing my crochet project. By the way, I'm going to show the finished project of that in another video. Right now it's not looking like anything really. So yeah, I didn't really want to show that, but I am like really loving the tapestry making like process, and I'm loving that. But in other news, yes, I have finished listening to Daughter of the Forest, and that book is such a gem. I it's not like one of my new well, is it one of my new favorite books? Like I think this is going to stand up as like one of the best books I'm going to read in 2026, and I know 2026 just began, but I can feel it. I don't know if this book will remain like a favorite of all time for me, because I do have like some things with it that are kind of like tugging at my heart, but I also understand that this is the purpose of the book. Let me get into my review. It's a fairy tale retelling, and this is technically the first book in a series. I think there was the original trilogy published first, and then years later, the author published a couple of other books in the series. But to be honest, this book stands on its own pretty well. Like, the story wraps up pretty good. And I don't know as of yet if I'm going to continue on with the series and read the complete trilogy or not. And if I do, I'm probably going to pick the rest of the trilogy through audiobook as well, because I really did enjoy my experience, like listening to this book and just basking in the beauty of the prose. This is a very heartbreaking story. At its core, it's like a heart-wrenching story where nothing goes right for the characters and you just feel so sad. And that's why it's kind of tough for me to say this is a new favorite. Well, I don't know. I don't know why I have like a bit of a reticence to be like, oh, this is my new favorite book, because when I think about it, like I love the characters. I enjoy like what the book is saying. I do have a reticence with some of the male characters in the story that I don't know. Like this is set in like the olden times. I don't know my history, so I wouldn't be able to say the years exactly. Anyways, it's not modern day. I feel like is it medieval? I guess medieval, but medieval is very vague. Anyways, do not ask me to put a date on this. Anyway, it's fiction, but it's still like Irish folklore, basically. And as we know, if you've heard of history, literally ever, men famously bad, especially against women, and that's always tough for me when I read historical fiction, which I guess this book might fall into because it's true that historically and still to this day, women are faced with constant violence, physical, mental, sexual violence from men. And that's a reality. And realities are portrayed in fiction. So I can't really fault this book. At the same time, I'm going to say, warning, as beautiful and as much as I love this book contains like on page sexual assault, rape, and that's really tough, and that was really tough for me to read, and I can understand how it's like really tough. And also, like, I sometimes struggle, even though I know it's important to like understand that this is a part of life. I'm also a woman, and sometimes I like the escapism of a beautiful fairy tale without having to be told about the horror of reality as well on top of that. So I think this is where like my warring emotions are coming from. I do believe that the author meant it to be as heart-wrenching and as heartbreaking as it is. I do believe we are meant to feel conflicting feelings about certain characters, especially like the brothers and everything. I feel very conflicted feelings about all of them because at the end of the day, they're just men, and our main character is really like pretty much the only woman in the story. That's not true. There are other women characters, but it still feels sometimes like, oh my god, this woman, because she has grown up. She's now a woman. She's no longer your little sister, a little girl that knows nothing. She had to grow up to save your ass, and you repay her how? By treating her like a child, by treating her like she doesn't have rights over her own autonomy, like conflicting feelings. Because on one hand, historically accurate, on the other hand, crying. On one hand, complex characters that are neither good nor bad, but a mix of both at all times. And on the other hand, I'm like, I just want something good for this girl. She deserves the world, and men keep on being men. Yeah. So I don't know if you could glean anything from this review of mine. I feel like my feelings are quite mixed on this book, and it shows. But overall, like, I'm happy I read the story. And I'm happy I discovered Juliet Marillier. I will check out other stories by her. Also, the fact that this book is a little bit older, like I said, I think it's from 1999. So it's not that old, but the fact that this book is like 26, 27 years old is so clear and such a breath of fresh air. Just the storytelling, narrative, writing, everything, it feels incredible, and it feels untouched by the modern day capitalistic state of the publishing industry, where everything has to be so fast paced and so easily given to the reader. Like, every information has to be basically force fed into your brain. This was such a breath of fresh air to be able to like read this slow paced book that takes its time and doesn't rush anything. And yeah, I'm grateful for that. It was fun. I need to read more older books and not only read newer books all the time. Let's just do a little recap. So I started the video by reading Our Violent Ends by Chloe Gong. Then I picked up The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson, and this book was fucking incredible. One of my new favorite books. I cannot wait for the second book. And then I finished off the vlog with Daughter of the Forest. I read some big ass books in this video and I can be proud of myself. Where I will close off this vlog. Thank you so much for watching this video. It was probably a long one. I haven't edited any of it yet, but I'm sure of it. I'm sure it's long. So thank you so much if you watched until the end. If you like this type of vlog, I made 2 previous episodes. You can check those out. And if you like my face, you can subscribe. And otherwise, I will see you soon. Okay, bye.